Yeah, you gotta tell me.
All right, good.
Rich, are you still with Joe Joyce?
Yes, I was in London. I was in London, yeah.
How would you rate his performance?
Out of 10, I would say it was a 12.
Okay, keep on promoting.
All right, okay, no. So here is what I think. It was clearly the biggest. It was the biggest challenge of his career. Remember, the guy, it was his 10th fight. Jennings is a world-class fighter. It still is, and he showed that. You know, and if let's face it, if Tyson Fury would have announced that he's fighting in November or whatever in the US against Brian Jennings, nobody would have said anything. Or if Anthony Joshua would have done another fight with Brian Jennings, nobody would have said any, or would have done a fight with Brian Jennings, nobody would have said anything. Joe Joyce in his 10th fight goes and fights Brian Jennings, so we've got to give him credit right there. Having said that, you know, I think it was a learning experience. He went 12 rounds. I think he got hurt in the first round with a body shot. Big wake-up call. He had his hands low throughout the fight. He got hit too much. Big learning experience. And I think, you know, knowing that when you hit somebody, not always the opponent is going to go down. Sometimes they actually take your punches, and you might have to go 12 rounds, and he had to go 12 rounds. So from that point of view, I could not have asked for a better experience for Joe Joyce than he had last Saturday. That's why I say, from an experience point of view, a 12 out of 10. This fight did more to Joe Joyce's career than the previous 9 combined. Now, would I like him to see his hands up more, move his head more, maybe sit down on his punches a bit more, not forget, cut out that showboating, you know? Yes, but these are the kind of things I'm sure he's going to be working on with Adam Booth. So, no, so we'll have to see now what's going to happen. You know, he's the gold champion, WBA, and as such, he's in line to fight for the regular title. So we need to see what's going to happen. I'm hearing rumblings that there are talks going on for Tyson Fury, potentially to fight Trevor Bryant. And if that's going to happen, then Trevor Bryant would be out of the Char fight, and then Joe Joyce would be the next in line to fight Char for the regular title, and we of course would take that fight, and that's what we discussed. And if that doesn't happen, I talked to Frank Warren, my co-promoter. We'll co-promote Joe Joyce. We're looking at maybe having him fight in September in the UK.
I'm looking forward to Anthony Joshua Part 2. How much money, or are they losing money by having a fight on the zone? From a pay-per-view perspective, how much money?
Look, we talked about that topic before, and what it comes down to that now maybe people, particularly hopefully the fighters, are starting to realize what I kept saying a year ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, to you several times, that 100 million zone deal sounds like a lot of money and is a lot of money, but when you look at potentially the kind of pay-per-view revenues which could be in the pot, suddenly 100 million, while still a big number, is not so big anymore. You look at Deontay Wilder. If he would have signed with the zone,
He was stuck.
he's stuck. He would be not only the rematch, but he would be stuck, and he couldn't make the kind of money he can make in a fight now with Tyson Fury. Look, Aaron and me not always agree on everything, but on this one we agree. That fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder could exceed the Mayweather-Pacquiao numbers. I really believe that I really believe that as well, because this is a fight which is going to really grab the attention of the general public, and you're going to have, you know, if you're going to have a Fox and a ESPN promote that, imagine you get the general market, you get the sports market, you get the whole market. Everybody is going to know about this fight, and the first fight was a hell of a fight, and this one here, the first fight, not too many people gave Tyson Fury a chance, you know, so this one here, this is going to be a freaking unbelievable fight. So now imagine it doesn't, let's say it doesn't do 4.6 million. Let's say it does half of it, okay. I mean, half of it is like a slam dunk in my opinion. So you have 2.3 times, times the pay-per-view, at let's say $50, yeah, for the I mean, 150, 80, 90 bucks. So you more or less look about $50 for the promotion. And so that's right there. You have 125 million. Let's say the fight does 2.5 million home. You have 125 million dollars just in pay-per-view money. Then you look at the gate in Vegas. You're probably going to have a 50, 60 million dollar gate. Now you're at 180 million. Then it's going to be a pay-per-view in the UK. Let's be conservative. Let's say it does a million and a half homes, in the UK, which is very low. So you're looking at another 20 million pounds. So that's about 30 million. So now you're at then you look at the bars and restaurants here in the United States and the closed circuit. You look at the rest of the world, foreign TV. I mean, conservatively, you might have $250 million in the pot, okay? So now, let's say it's a 50-50 deal. It's like, shit, 120. I mean, with the DAZN deal, he would have had to fight 3 times. So suddenly, in one fight, you can make as much. You can make as much and still have upside. You can make as much as you would have made on a DAZN platform. That is why I said the pay-per-view offers fighter that upside, and that's why pay-per-view will never be dead.
How about Andy Ruiz Jr. versus Deontay Wilder coming off the momentum?
Oh my gosh, imagine that.
De Mayo, you're the king of the Mexican market.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I think that will be bigger than.
No, and you see for Canelo, I mean. For Canelo,
I was gonna get there.
But for Canelo, those dates are from maybe a cultural point of view important. But let's face it, they were really more important because they're the 2 best pay-per-view dates, right? But now for Canelo, those 2 dates, he's not on pay-per-view anymore. So there's really not much of a difference if he fights in September or December. You know what I mean? So I think those pay-per-view dates are going to be available, and you're right, for somebody like Andy Ruiz beats Joshua again, and Deontay Wilder beats Fury. Imagine that. Imagine that.
Would you want him to fight Andy Ruiz before Tyson Fury, or would you want him to go to the Tyson Fury fight, assuming he beats Ortiz and he beats Anthony Joshua in the rematch? Deontay Wilder.
What do you mean?
Would you want Deontay Wilder, assuming he beats Luis Ortiz, to go to Andy Ruiz?
Well, you can't. I mean, the guy has to do a rematch.
That's what I'm saying. If he beats Anthony Joshua in the
rematch. I mean, if it would be living in a perfect world, let's say we would be living in a perfect world, I would love the fight. I like to see right now is Deontay Wilder against Andy Ruiz for all the belts. That's what I like to see. Wow. And then you have the undisputed heavyweight champion, and then after that, you can go and fight all these other people,
What's your take on Canelo giving up his date, the September 14th date?
Well, I don't really know.
Money? Do you think they're feuding? Do you think they can't find an opponent?
I don't know if it's the opponent. I don't know if it's the DAZN. I don't know if it is. Some people said he has issues with his knee. I don't know if it's because he made a lot of money in May. And somebody once said, waking up in silk pajamas, the hunger might not be there anymore. Marvin Hagler, exactly. So you might just, might just want to sit it out and maybe have another 2 months vacation because he made so much money. Can't blame the guy because, as I just said, whether he fights in September or December, who really cares? Going to end up making the same amount of money.
Now this fight, Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman, and Sean Porter versus Earl Spence. Break those fights down.
So Pacquiao-Thurman, I think, is the definition of a 50-50 fight. I think question marks behind both fighters. Pacquiao, 40 years old. I understand, an 8 division world champion, and I know how many belts. But in the end of the day, that was then. And then doesn't matter today. Today is today. And what does Pacquiao has left at 40 years old? How is he going to look? We don't know. Fighters once they're 40, in particular somebody like Pacquiao who went through so many wars and has been fighting since he was a young kid in the lower weight classes, which are particularly punishing on your body, at one point he's going to get old. I don't know if it's going to be Saturday night. We've seen it, we never know. We've seen it with Oscar when he fought Pacquiao. It was in one night, from one fight to the other, it was a different guy. We don't know. So there's a question mark. Thurman, who I know very well because signed him coming out of the amateurs, wasn't involved in most of his fights, so I know him very well. He's a big-time fighter. What I mean by that, he's a fighter who elevates his game to the highest level. The bigger the opponent, the better Keith Thurman. And this is a big night. It's the biggest night for Keith. We've seen that. We've seen that when he fought Danny Garcia. He elevated his game. We saw it when he fought Sean Porter. He elevated his game. What happened since then, 2 years out of the ring, shoulder surgery, issues with his hand, and sure played a bit in his mind as well. So we'll have to see what Keith Thurman is going to show up. One thing I'm not going to do, judge him on his last performance, because that was supposed to be an easy fight. And Keith Thurman is not good at easy fights. Keith Thurman is great at big fights, and that's a big fight. So I think it's a tremendous matchup.
Did you promote Sweepy and Oscar?
No, that was before my time, yeah.
Okay, but could you elaborate on Sweepy Whitaker to wrap it up?
Well, it's really...
Did you ever promote against him?
No, I didn't. That was before my time. But I have to say, he sort of like was the Mayweather of his time. Virtuoso in the ring, tremendous talent. You couldn't really touch him. He did what he wanted to do with you as an opponent. Clearly, I mean, ring generalship. He was a general of the ring, like no one else, and in a way like Mayweather after him. So it's just sad to see that how life is. How everything is well one day, and you go out and you get hit by a truck and you're gone. You start asking why, and why, and how, and so that's exactly what went through my head. And what it really is you need to be able to enjoy every day and do good things every day, and be proud when you go at night to sleep and rest your head that you had a great day, that you try to empower others, that you try to help others, and wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and be proud of what you see. And I think what we need to do is we need to think about that, because in just like that, it can be over. And that's sort of like what I take away from that. And may you rest in peace.
Thank you, Rich. Appreciate it. Everything good.